right, so I'll sing a song and then we'll. Oh, bury me now in the deep, deep sea. These words came slow and faintly from the pallid lips of a youth who lay in his cabin bunk at the close of day. Oh, bury me now in the deep, deep sea, where the cold, dark waves will swallow me, where no light breaks through the darkening waves, no sunbeam find my gallant grave. He mourned and pined till o'er his brow death shades had slowly crept there now. He left his home and his loved ones nigh as the sailors gathered to see him die. Oh, baby, now his voice failed them. They paid no heed to his dying prayer. They lowered him down where the ship's dark side, and above him closed his gold eye. He bore no costly wine to wrap around his head. They lowered him down with billows roll in the deep of sea, far from the shore. Girl unsure, they still share for the one who lies on the ocean bed. Above his heart, the whale will hiss, and his pallid lips the fish will kiss. All right. So we seem to have a smaller number of people every week here. I wonder what's happening.
Summer.
Summertime, exactly.
August.
People are going on vacation. I can't believe it's August. How did that happen?
I don't know.
Like yesterday, it was just April.
That's right.
I mean, it's hard really for me to believe that that we're already back on Friday. It feels like we were just gathering last Friday.
No, time is flying.
It really is remarkable how these COVID times just keep going fast, fast, fast. Hello, Barbara.
Hello there.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
All right. Are you going to show us your face, or are you hiding?
I've been hiding for months.
Good for you.
Well, it isn't good.
No. No, I've been trying. I myself have been trying not to hide, but it's it's funny.
Now you can see my face.
Oh, hi, Barbara. There you are.
Oh,
There
great. You look wonderful.
You look great.
Thanks.
I have a friend who has a Friday night. He has a Friday night candlelighting thing, but after I've done 2 Zoom services, I'm zoomed out, and
I know.
so I don't tend to join him. So what have you been up to, Barbara?
How much can you be up to?
I know, seriously. Barbara, there's 2 people I want you to meet. I think you've met, Anne probably from services before,
Yes, I do.
or the COVID hit. But the other person you can see is Ellen, and Ellen is a member of the congregation in Cambridge, the Worship and Study Meeting, but she's been joining us for Friday nights. So Ellen is behind her mute, so she can't say hi to you, but you can say hi to her. And Ellen is the person behind the telephone.
Okay.
There are 2 Ellens.
2 Ellen, right? The Ellen behind the telephone is a new resident at 100 Center Street, and the Ellen in Cambridge spells her name differently. I think it's Ellin, and so
I didn't do it. It was done to me.
to you. Right. Yes, I didn't name myself Jim. It was long predetermined that I'd be the Jim. I'm the 4th James Lee Morgan in my family. And the reason why I'm the 4th is because even though there were 5 people that had those 2 names, the second one was Lee James. So there was James Lee Morgan, then his kid was Lee James. And then Lee James had James Lee Morgan II, right? He wasn't James Lee Jr. because he was the grandson of the first James. And then my father, for whatever reason, wasn't Lee James II. He was James Lee Morgan III. And so here I am, James Lee Morgan IV, which is...
Don't ask me to repeat that.
No, you don't want
There's going to be a test on it.
Exactly. And, and Ashkenazi Jews generally do not name their kids for their own selves, but since I grew up Episcopalian, that wasn't enforced. So it's kind of funny.
Except if they're Sephardic, they do.
Sephardic, they do, exactly. But my email is JLMorgan4, and it wasn't because there were 3 other JL Morgans who had Gmail accounts before me. It was because that was my
That's
name.
who you are.
The 4th, right? So I'm still. I will never forget.
What did you name your son?
Samson. And named the other one Moses, even poorer.
Uh-huh.
My husband's
That's
Oh,
great.
I have Joshua,
like that.
David, and Daniel.
Josh, David, and Daniel. There you go. So, what did you have, Barbara?
My husband's middle name was Moses.
Oh, really? That's great.
His first
One
name
of
was
my
Abraham.
son's middle names in Hebrew is Moses.
All right, Barbara, I'm going to mute you just because it's noisy from your phone. But if you want to say something,
It's Ellen's.
the other Ellen, the phone Ellen, Ellen with an E. I'm muting your phone. But if you want to say something, just push *6, and you can speak, and we will hear you. So, Barbara, it's nice to see you. We have a nice little group that gathers for It gathers for this little, get together before Shabbat services,
Right.
and then we have a little Shabbat service, and we're pretty low key around.
No, I'm so busy.
I know you've got
Such a long trip.
and it's hard to get the shul. I mean, it's really difficult.
I know.
The only person it's hard for it's funny. I was talking to someone today, and she was asking me about the services, and I said, well, I do a Russian service, but I do that in Roslindale, and I'm actually going to start doing that one on one of the floors. There's no, the people don't go from floor to floor, so it's now sort of safe to do things on the floor. So I'm going to do that on the floor and then beam it to the rest of the building. But then as soon as it's done, I've got to run out of there and get home. So it's actually, it's not super easy to be to get to shul for me, which is why I'm always a little bit late.
Why can't you use Zoom to do the Russian stuff too?
Well, I do Zoom for the Russian stuff, but the way the technology works there is that I need to be on site, beam it to everybody's room. So yeah, I'm an annoying colleague. I keep on pushing the technology, which of course means pushing my colleagues to do stuff with technology that they don't necessarily want to do. So my next thing, and I hope that I'm successful, is that I want to start being able to call people who can't call in. We have several people who are just unable to figure out this system, but they would love.
I can't see their phone numbers, the numbers on their phone to do it.
And so
That's wonderful.
So my hope is that we'll just be able to call them, and the full extent of their technological capacity has to be an ability to pick up the phone when it rings. And so if they can do that, then they can participate.
Can't do that, they're not going to be too interested.
Even most of our grandmothers could do that.
But
I remember my grandmother having a phone on the wall and
yeah,
the separate little earpiece that you had to pick up and hold.
Yep. Yeah, I have a phone like that. My grandfather, my maternal grandfather, actually my maternal grandmother also, they worked for the Southern New England Telephone Company in Bridgeport. And
Oh.
so I had a whole collection of old telephones, some of which I've passed on to other people, but some of them I've kept. And my grandfather used to know how to fix them. And so we would have these ancient telephones that we could as telephones, which was really, really cool. But at a certain point, he got old enough that he couldn't remember how to.
Beth,
So now just sit there.
I had a great aunt who never trusted the phones. And she would yell into the phone what she wanted to say, and then she'd hang up. She was my favorite great aunt.
oh,
I remember my grandparents were so aware because they worked for the telephone company of how much the long distance cost, and we didn't live we lived a long distance call away from them. So I learned at a very early age that unless it was a local call, right, you make it very, very short.
Yeah.
So, and it's interesting that my parents really haven't unlearned that, even though there's cell phones and they can talk as long as they want now. But my parents are just in general, they're very much like, oh, we're on the telephone, we should get off.
We had potty lines too.
well,
Yes.
in my family, one of my great aunts who lived in Texas, we lived in Lexington, Kentucky, and she would send telegrams when she was coming as to when her train was arriving.
Wow. That's amazing. I don't think I've ever received a telegram. I think I'm just too young to have received a telegram. Hello, Marbeth. Can you hear us, Marbeth?
Yeah, we can.
Hi, Emma.
Hi, Rabbi.
It's nice to hear your voice.
Thank you.
All right, I'm going to mute you just because there's often noise from there.
Okay.
All right, and I see Arnold. Hello, Arnold.
Hi.
Good Shabbos.
Shabbos.
So Arnold, for everyone who doesn't know, lives at 1550 Beacon Street. So Arnold, you're I think the only person from 1550 Beacon Street tonight. So around the room is Anne, who is at 100 Center Street. Barbara, also at 100 Center Street. Ellen, who has a telephone icon. That's Ellen, who lives at 100 Center Street. And Marbeth, also 100 Center Street. And then there's Ellen, who is EQS, and Ellen in Cambridge. So we have a mix. We have a mixed group tonight. So it's nice to have you. I'm glad you're joining us. So I think we'll get started. Usually Sandy Greenberger's here, and she tells me to put the liturgy up on the screen. So that is what I'll do. And Ellen, let me ask you, Ellen, would you like me to get you a prayer book, or are you happy with the prayer book you've got? I forget.
Me?
No, the other Ellen.
Thank you.
Ellen from 100 Center Street, would you like me at some point to drop you off a prayer book?
Yes.
Okay, sounds good. I'll do that. I'm sorry I didn't think of it earlier. All right, great. So I'm going to just give me a few moments while I go search for the liturgy, and I'll be right back.
To go back to telephones, have you ever been on a party line?
Oh, yes, I grew up on one.
I grew up on one too.
Yeah, my grandparents had that. We were in upstate New York in the summer. And what I remember is everyone was calling about who had polio and who didn't.
Oh,
I was very young, but I couldn't figure out what that meant.
I remember those. We couldn't go to, as funny, but we couldn't go much of anywhere because of the polio scare.
Yep.
Right?
We're quarantined, you
We
know.
all
not
stayed
going-
home.
Well, since very few people in the family had places in the country, people would send young people to my grandparents, and they would come and stay with us.
That was good, yeah. Well,
My
not only
grandma-
did we have the polio to deal with, we had World War II going on. And then afterwards, we still had polio.
All right, so I think we're ready to go. So I'll invite you, if you have a book, I'll invite you to turn to page 10, and we will get started with Yedid Nefesh. Usually what we do is we sing a few verses in Hebrew, and then we'll read a few verses in English. Yedid Nefesh Avarachman Mishoch Avdach Echritzonach Yarutz Avdach Kimo Ayah Yishtachaveh El Mul Hadarach Ki Ye'erav Lo Yedidutach Mino V'tzu B'chol Tam Haduna Aezi Ba'olam Nafshi Cholat Ahavata Ana El Narifat Allah Beharut La Noam Zivachas Titchazek V'titrapeh V'hatala Yalla la 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 la, yalla la 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 la. Yalla la 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 la, yalla la la, yalla la 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 la. Yalla la 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 la, yalla la la la, yalla la yalla la la. Yalla la la, yalla la la la, yalla la la la, yalla la la. All right, so we'll turn to the next page if I can figure out how to do that. There we go. Page 11 for Lechuna Ranana. We'll open up Kabbalat Shabbat as we prepare to open ourselves to Shabbat, to welcome Shabbat into our midst, into our souls, and gain that little bit of extra soul that we get. I think especially today, like the first day it hasn't been miserably humid and miserably hot. It's sort of lovely to have a cool day. So please join me in Lechuna Ranana. Lechuna Ranana L'Adonai Nariya Litzo Yishenu Nekadama Fanav Betodah Izmiro Narielo Yehu Eloheinu v'anachnu mitzvon Elohim b'kolo tishma'u. And all together at the little carrot. Arba'im Shana Akut Bedo V'omar Amdu Elevavim V'hem Lo Yedu Derachai Shenishpati V'yapi Imivonel Menuchati. So I think this is page 13. Shiru Ladonai Shir Chadash Shiru Ladonai Kol Haaretz Shiru Ladonai Baruch Hu Shmo Basru Miyom Liyom Yeshuato Safaru Bagoyim Kevodo Bechol Ha'amim Nifleotav Ki Gadol Adonai Umul Almeod Norahu Al Kol Elohim Ya Ilahi Ya Ilahi Ya Ilahi Ya Ilahi La 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 The heavens shall be glad and the earth rejoice. The sea and its fullness roar. The meadows and all that grows in them shall exult. Even the trees of the forest shall sing praises. Adonai comes to judge the earth, judging lands with righteousness and people with divine truth. Adonai malach tegel haaretz yismechu im rabim anan v'arefel sivivav tzedek u'mishpat nechon kiso. Adonai reigns, let the earth be glad, let the many islands rejoice. Clouds and thick darkness surround the divine. Righteousness and justice secure God's throne. So we'll turn now to page 16 at the little carrot. Oh, Havehi Adonai Sinura Shomer Nafshot Chasidav Miyad Rashahim Yatzilehem Or Zabru Latzadik Or Ishle Lev Simcha Simchu Tzadikim Baronai V'Hodu Lezecher Podsho. Page 17. Mizmor Shirud Ladonai Shir Chadash Ki Niflaot Asa Hoshia Lo Yemino Uzuro Podsho Dia Adonai Yeshuato Le'enei Hagoyim Gilad Tzidkato Zachar Chasto Ve'emunato Levet Yisrael Lalai 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 Call out to Adonai, all the earth. Break out in joyful singing. Sing to Adonai to the music of the lyre, and voices making music together. With horns and shofar cries, trumpet the presence of the sovereign Adonai. Let the sea and all that is in it roar. The earth and all who inhabit it should thunder. Let rivers clap hands while mountains sing in harmony, greeting Adonai, who comes to judge the earth, judging the world with justice and the nations with truth. So now we're going to skip up to Lecha Dodi. Let's see here. Okay. So we'll begin on page 23 if you have a book in front of you. We'll do the first two verses on page 23, the second verse on page 24, and the last verse on page 25. So lots of skipping of pages. I hope you'll... All right. For this, we'll pick up the guitar. Lecha Dodi Lecha Alai Alalai 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 B'nei Shabbat Nekabela Lecha Dodi Lecha Alai Alalai 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 B'nei Shabbat Nekabela Lecha Dodi Lecha Alai Alalai Alalai B'nei Shabbat Nekabela Lecha Dodi Lecha Alai Alalai 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 B'nei Shabbat לחדודי לקטקלה, יללי, 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 בני שבת לקבלה, לחדודי לקטקלה, יללי, 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 בני שבת לקבלה, לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי מחור הברכה, מבראש מקדם ניסוחה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה, לחדודי לקראת קלה, יללה, 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 בני שבת נקבלה, לחדודי לקראת קלה, יללה, 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 בני שבת נקבלה, התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורך ומיורי, אורי, אורי, שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה, לחדודי לקראת קלה, יללה, 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 בני שבת נקבלה, לחדודי לקראת קלה, יללה, 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 בני שבת נקבלה. And I invite you to rise as you are able for our final verse of Lecha Dodi. Okay, not sure what's going on there. Okay. Oh, Shalom Ater Ba'ala Gam B'Simcha U'B'Sola Toch Emunei Am Segula Boi Chala Boi Chala לחדודי לקראת קלה, יללה, 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 בני שבת נקבלה, לחדודי לקראת קלה, יללה, 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 בני שבת נקבלה, לחדודי לקראת קלה, יללה, 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 בני שבת נקבלה, לחדודי לקראת קלה, יללה, 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 בני שבת נקבלה. All right. Woo. Everyone may take a seat, and we will turn now to page 27 for Mizmor Shir Liyom HaShabbat. Mizmor Shir Liyom HaShabbat Tov Lehodot Ladonai Uzamer L'Shimcha Elyon Lahakid Baboker Hasteka Ve'emunatato Valelot. Psalm, a song of the Sabbath day. It is good to give thanks to you, Adonai, and to sing to your name most high. Proclaim your loving kindness at daybreak and your faithfulness. Play the harp, pluck the lute, with the sound of the lyre rise up. You gladden me with your deeds, Adonai. I shall sing of your handiwork. How wonderful are your works, Adonai. How subtle your designs. So we'll sing together. The next page where we see the little triangle. Sadikatama Yifra Eris Balvano Yisge Shitulim Bevet Adonai V'cha Atzrut Eloheinu Yafrichu Od Yenuvun B'Seva D'Shenim Ra'ananim Yiyu Lehagid Yashar Adonai Suri Velo Avalatabo. So we'll turn now to page 29 for the final psalm of Kabbalat Shabbat. And say now that the extra soul has come into us, we are now with Shabbat in its fullness. Adonai Malach Lavesh, Adonai is sovereign, robed in splendor, girded in strength. The earth stands firm, not to be dislodged. From earliest time you were enthroned, you are eternal. Mikolohut Mayim Rabim Dirim Mishpiriyam Adir Bamarum Adonai Edotecha Ne'emnu Me'od Levedcha Nahava Kodesh Adonai Leorech Yamim. All right, so we'll turn to the next page. We see on there a little prayer for, we don't quite have a minyan, and we don't quite have a minyan today, so we will we'll say this little prayer. We're closer than we've been in a long time to a minyan, so I appreciate everyone being here. It's wonderful, and it's great to see faces and hear well, not quite hear some voices because we haven't heard everybody's voice yet, but it's wonderful. But I'm going to stop the sharing, and if anyone has someone they would like to mention that they're saying Kaddish for this week, please feel free to name that person. I'll pull up unfortunately only for 100 Center Street do I have a yard site list, but I will read that one. And I will mention also Svetlana Boym, who was a member of the Worship and Study Minyan who passed away 5 years ago. This week will mark her.
Rabbi,
Yes.
we had a member of our congregation's father pass away. He lived in Brookline. Herb Brody.
Who is it?
Herbert Brody.
Okay, thank
Father
you.
of Benjamin.
So in this month at 100 Center Street, we remember Robert Karenke, Richard Stern, and Linda Dranoff. Is anyone else saying Kaddish today? Please feel free to unmute yourself. Carol, did you have somebody?
Yes, Joan Lichterman.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so I'm going to put the share back on, and we will say this prayer. Feel free to join me behind your mute to say this prayer. Ribono shel olam, Elohei haruchot lechol basar, Master of the world, God of the spirits of all flesh. It is revealed and known before you that it is our fervent desire to praise your name and to remember and honor our beloved ones who have passed away in this season by reciting the mourner's Kaddish in the company of a minyan. May my presence here today with my community find favor in your eyes and be accepted and received before you as if I had prayed the Kaddish. May your name, Adonai, be elevated and sanctified everywhere on earth, and may peace reign everywhere. Baruch Shem Chavod L'Nochuto Le'olam Va'ed. And so we'll sing together, Oseh Shalom. Oseh Shalom Bimroma. Uyaseh Shalom Aleinu. Ve'al Kol Yisrael. V'imru Yaseh Shalom. Yaseh Shalom. Shalom Aleinu. Yalko Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom. Yaseh Shalom. Shalom Aleinu. Yalko Yisrael. So now we will turn to the evening service, which is found.
Good Shabbos, everybody. I'm going to sign off.
All right, good Shabbos, Arthur. Thank you. Arnold, I mean, sorry, Arnold. Yes, thank you so much for joining us. Okay. All right. All right, so here we are. Start here with the first bracha before the Shema. Feel free to join me. This is page 39a. Baruch atah Adonai, our God, sovereign of time and space, whose word brings the evening dusk, whose wisdom opens the gates of dawn, whose understanding changes the day's division, whose will sets the succession of seasons and arranges the stars in the places in the sky, who creates day and night, who rolls light before darkness and darkness before light, who makes day pass into night and distinguishes day from night. Adonai Tzevaot is your name, living and ever-present God. May your rule be with us forever and ever. Baruch atah Adonai, who brings each evening's dust. U'ma'avir yom u'mehivi laila, ma'avdir ben yom u'ben laila, Adonai Tzevaot shemo. El Chai v'Kayam, Tamid Yimloch Aleinu le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai HaMachriv HaRavim. So we'll continue on page 40. Ahavat Olam Beit Yisrael Mechavta Torah u'mitzvot Hukim u'mishpatim Tanu limadeta Al ken Adonai Eloheinu B'shochveinu uvkumeinu Nasiach bechukecha V'nismach b'divrei Toratzecha Uv'mitzvotecha Le'olam va'ed Ki hem chayenu V'orech yameinu V'orech yameinu Uvehem negeh Yomam v'layla Yomam v'layla Ki hem chayenu V'orech yameinu Uvehem negeh Yomam v'layla V'yavetecha Al tasim imenu le'olamim Baruch atah Adonai Ohev Amo Israel. Page 41. El Melech Ne'eman. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha V'chol levavcha uv'chol nafshecha uv'chol me'udecha Ve'hayu הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך uvkumecha, ukshartam leot al yadecha, v'hayu latotafot b'neinecha, uchtavtam amizuzot betecha, uvish arecha. And we will continue silently on page 42. Please feel free to use the words on the page or the meditations of your own heart. L'hayim Shema Tishma. So we'll turn now to the following page, page 43. Emet v'emunah kol zot v'kayam aleinu ki hu Adonai Eloheinu v'ein zulato v'anachnu Yisrael amo. This is our enduring affirmation binding on us, that Adonai is our God and there is none other. And we, Israel, are God's people. Okay, so we'll turn now to page 44. U'malchuto b'ratzon kibulu aleihem Moshe u'Miriam u'bnei Yisrael nechanu shira b'simcha rabba v'yameru chulam mi chamocha v'elim Adonai mi Kamocha nedar b'kodesh nora dehidot osefele malchutecha ra'uvanecha v'okeyam lifnei Moshe ze'eli anu v'yameru Adonai yimloch le'olam v'hed ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגלו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גא ישראל. All right, so we'll turn now to page 45 for Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, va'amidenu malkeinu l'chaim, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Allow us, Adonai, our God, to sleep peacefully. Awaken us to life, O Sovereign. Spread over us your canopy of peace. Restore us with your good counsel, and save us for the sake of your name. Shield us, remove from us enemies, pestilence, this terrible pandemic, swords, starvation, and sorrow. Remove the evil forces that surround us, especially white supremacy. Shelter us in the shadow of your wings, for you, God, watch over and deliver us, and you, God, are sovereign, merciful, and compassionate. Ensure our going and coming for life and for peace now and forever. May you spread over us your canopy of peace. Baruch atah Adonai, who spreads the canopy of peace over us, over all the people of Israel, and over Jerusalem. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, Baruch atah Adonai, Aporei sukat shalom aleinu, Yal kol amo Yisrael, the Al Yerushalayim. Okay, on page 46, we will sing the Shamru. Traditionally, we rise for this. If it's your practice to rise, please feel free to do so. V'shamiru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat לדוחתם בחית עולם ביני ובין בני ישראל עוד לעולם כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש. All right, so we will turn to the Amida. The practice in our Minyan is to sing the first three blessings of the Amida and then to continue silently through the end and then to come together at the very end for Shalom Rav. So I invite you to rise as you are able for the Amida. Adonai Sefatai Tiftach Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha. Adonai, open my lips that they may speak your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor, Hanora, El Elyon, גומר חסדים טובים וקונה הכל וחובח הסתרות ואימהות ומביא גואל לבני בניהם למען שמו באהבה מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן ברוך אתה אדוני Magen Abraham ufoked Sahara Ata Gibor Olam Adonai Mechaye Metim Ata Rab Lehoshia Morid Hata Mechalkel Chaim Bechesed Mechaye Metim Berachamim Rabim Somech Noflim Verofech Olim ומתיר אסורים ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומדו מלך מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה ונאמן אתה להחיות מתים. ברוך אתה, אדוני מחיי המתים. Page 49. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה, אדוני האל הקדוש. And we will continue silently. Ataki pashtet v'mashet. So we'll come back together on page, I think I know the page by now. Page 51 for Shalom Rav. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amecha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amecha Tasim Leolam. Ki ata Melech Adon Lechol HaShalom. Ki ata Melech Adon Lechol HaShalom. Shalom Rav HaYisrael Amecha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav HaYisrael Amecha Tasim Leolam. V'tov b'einecha levarech et Amecha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav HaYisrael Amecha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav HaYisrael Amecha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. All right, so we will turn now to the Misha Berach, which you'll see on the screen. But before we get into that, I'm going to stop the share and invite anyone who would like to share the name of someone who is ill to do so. I just need to grab my capo. Play it. Okay. So feel free to unmute yourself. If you unmute yourself, I'll call on you to name someone who is ill. Okay, so Ellen?
Yes, Franklin, and I've forgotten his last name, your dog, and the justice.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Anybody else? Marcia? Okay. All right, so I'm going to name my friend Rachel and my cousin Tamar Bat Miriam. May the source and to bless the ones before us. Help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Miko Liavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema. The renewal of body, renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. All right. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. We will turn back to our other prayer book. Here, if I can find it. Whoops.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbos.
Shalom.
And we will turn now to the Elenu. Actually, we made Kiddush last week, so why don't we do it again? Anyone who has anything to make Kiddush with, you can do it. If you have nothing to make Kiddush with, then just we can just imagine that you have something to make Kiddush with, and we will. I haven't had any wine in this house for such a long time. So, making Kiddush over this ancient bottle of rum that I have. COVID times, that's the way it works. It's so ancient, I'm not sure how much longer it's going to last, even though I only take like a few milliliters each time. All right, so I will say the blessing with Borei Priya Gafen, and if that's what you have, that's what you should say. But I'm going to also say, before I drink my rum, I'm going to say Shehakol Nihid Bidvaro. So if you don't have wine, that's what you can say if you have some sort of booze or something. All right. So Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Borei Pri HaGafen. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Asher Kitshanu B'mitzvotav V'ratzavanu V'Shabbat Kodsho V'Ahav Ratzon Inchilanu Zikaron L'Ma'aseh V'Reshit Ki Hu Yom Techila L'Mikra'ei Kodesh Zecher L'Tziat Mitzrayim Kivanu V'Acharta Yotanu Kidashta Mikol Amin V'Shabbat Kodshecha V'Yava Uchratzon Inchaltanu Baruch Ata Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat Amen. Shabbat Shalom. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Shehakol Nihid Bidvaro.
Shabbat Shalom.
All right, good Shabbos, everyone. All right, so we'll turn now to the Elena, which is on page 56. Okay. And we will rise as we are able. Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon hakol לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגי הרצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, כי אנחנו קוראים משתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלאכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ביוסר הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים עמה, שכינתו זו, וגובה מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו ופסולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום וישיבות אל לבביך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים עמה, V'yal ha'aretz, v'yal ha'aretz, mitachat. Enod, enod. Haken nechavel lecha Adonai Eloheinu lirod mehira b'tiferet uzechi mebisid lahavir gilulim min ha'aretz. Ba'elelim karuti karetun letaken olam b'alchut shadai. V'chol b'nei v'sai yicharuvi shnechu halofnot elecha kol rishei aretz. L'kir b'yodi chol yoshvei tilo ki lecha ticha kol berach. Yishavah kol ashon l'fanecha Adonai Eloheinu yakiru v'yipolu. לכבוד שמך יקיר יתנו, יכבלו כולם את עול מלכותך, ותמלוך עליהם מהרה לעולם ועד, כי המלכות שלך היא, מלכות שלך היא, ולעמד עד תמלוך בך. וכתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר, והיה אדוני מלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא, יחיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד. All right, so Shabbat Shalom, everybody. So nice to spend time together. Thank you, Barbara, for joining us. It's wonderful to see you.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
And good Shabbos, Ellen in Brookline. Good Shabbos, Ellen in Cambridge. Good Shabbos, Carol. It's so nice to have you. Marcia, so glad you joined us. And Marbeth, it's great to have you and Emma along for the ride. So we will conclude our service. We'll put up the share again. We'll conclude our service with Eight Dodim, and here are the words. So feel free to join. Behind your muting. We will have I hope a good time, and everyone have a wonderful Shabbos. All right, so Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Feel free to unmute yourself. Shabbat Shalom to everyone if you'd like. And it's so nice to spend time with everybody.
Rabbi,
Yeah.
Sarah Valenti is back in her unit.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I don't know, it just occurred to me, maybe she would be, I don't know if she'd be interested in joining in the services.
Probably love it. I'm going to call her as soon as I can. I'm going to be on vacation.
Okay,
Call as soon as I can. And
Be on vacation.
I'm sorry?
When are you going to be on vacation?
Monday. So yeah, no, I'm going to go to Nantucket for a few days. My parents have a place there, and they very graciously clean out various members of take turns going there.
So you'll be gone for the week?
Say it again, Carol.
You'll be gone for the week?
I'll be gone for the week. There'll be a few things that I'm doing from Nantucket, but Liz will do the Jewish learning, and I will still do the David story program. And next Friday I'll do Shabbat services. I may be still in Nantucket, but I might also be home. So, but the good thing is that I don't, unlike the stuff in Rosendale, I can do these Shabbat services anywhere, just as long as I have internet. So
that's the problem with Zoom. You can do it, you can work from anywhere.
pretty much anywhere. If I have the internet and the guitar, I'm good to go. All right, everyone, have a good
Time on Nantucket.
Feel free to join us tomorrow for Shabbat services and a Torah discussion. If you're interested in this at 10, more into discussion, it's at 11, or it's a Torah reading and then a discussion. But looking forward to catching up with everyone. Okay, thanks again, everyone. Good night.
Bye.
Right.